Hello, hello, hello. I think we are live. And yes, there we go. We have the on-air signal. Hello, welcome, everyone. I'm Trevor Emden, speaking to you from my home in a very sunny part of England this lovely spring day. And we may be expecting a few more people. Quite a lot of people have signed up for this. So I'm just going to run through introductions and a little bit of housekeeping, and then tell you how this is going to work. So, as I say, I'm Trevor Emden. Some of you know me, some of you may not know me so well. A little bit of background. These days, I'm a online and offline, sometimes success coach. I do private coaching and group coaching for people who really want to take their life to the next level. Often that is by starting an online business, not always, but that's often the case. What I've done today, I've never done this before. What I'm going to do is basically I'm going to spend a little bit of time just setting the scene. And the title of this session is How to Get Unstuck. So if you are someone who wants to take your life to the next level, then and hasn't got there, then this is the venue. This is the place to be, because it's like, well, why haven't I got there? What's stopped you from getting there? So we're going to actually we're going to look at that. So as I say, a little bit of housekeeping. What you have, what you should be able to see is at the moment me. I'm going to share a screen with you from the computer in a moment, and I think on the right of your screen, that's my right as I look at, well, it is my right, but it probably looks like left to you as I'm looking at the camera, is a chat box. So what I intend to do is, as I say, set the scene and then hand over really to you guys, and let's have a conversation about what it is you want from this, and let's, it's for you to use this time. So what else do I need to say about me? Background in mental health work, trained as a psychiatric nurse, then in various psychotherapies. I'm an NLP practitioner, that stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. So I've really spent my life trying to help people at a psychological and emotional level, and always had a deep-seated passion myself as well for living according to what feels right, what feels good to do. I don't believe that we are here to be on a treadmill, marking time until the end, just to pay the bills and then disappear off this mortal coil. That doesn't make sense to me. I think life has the potential to be much more fulfilling than that for all of us, and we kind of get stuck on some loops. So as I say, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share a screen with you, and while I'm doing that, I temporarily won't be able to see the chat box. Then I'm kind of going to come back on camera and we'll chat. Unfortunately, because of the technology that we have available, your chat will have to be typed in the chat box, and I will answer you in person, in words, speaking to you. Duh. Makes sense, right? Okay, so let me just find this screen here. There it is. Okay, so you should now be able to see here a mind map, where you get stuck and how to get unstuck. So let me just set the scene here, because it doesn't matter who you are or where you are in life or what you want from life. These will be the basic principles that apply to your situation. And when you understand these and understand what you can do to shift them, everything can change. Anything can change. And you're in control. It puts you in the driving seat of your life. So let's start at the beginning. As you can see, there are only three points on this mind map. But what starts us off is a desire for some kind of change. Now, there's nothing wrong with having a desire for change, nothing wrong with having a desire of any kind, really. It's what we do with it that can either free us or trap us. So when we have a desire, that's a kind of, let's think about, let's make a comparison for a moment to a simple basic physical desire. Let's say hunger. Now, you know when you're hungry, you recognize that signal from your body. And for most of us, I guess, living in our time and in our culture, when we feel that signal, we do something about it. You know, we go to the fridge or maybe, the fried chicken shop or whatever it is that where we choose to eat. Not necessarily always the best choices, but we know what to do about that signal, which is a desire. That's an uncomfortable signal to get rid of. I want to get rid of this uncomfortable feeling. I know what gets rid of it. Food gets rid of it. So I'll eat something. So that's a very simple desire. Now, with a more emotionally based desire, like the desire to have a better kind of a life in some way, I want more freedom. I want more time to be with my family. I want more things in my life, or I want to be able to travel more, which means more money and less time spent making it and so on. That's a bit more difficult for us to distinguish. It's harder for us to say, oh, that's what I know what that signal is. Hunger we recognize straight away. Being tired we recognize straight away. The desire to use the bathroom, we recognize those signals straight away. We know what those feel like. But these more emotional desires, we don't have such clear signals for. And anyway, we get conditioned, most of us get conditioned by our elders when we're little, into thinking that they're not mostly acceptable or not, and I'm putting my fingers in the air, making air quotes here, not realistic often. So we're led to believe that those are feelings that we should ignore or suppress, or that we've simply misinterpreted. Now, as we get older, we learn most of us, just to block them out completely. So we forget that they're even there. But if we have these deep-seated desires, then they will come back and eat away at us until they can't be ignored anymore. So what happens is you get one of two results, because eventually you decide, right, I am going to take action. And that action will lead to a result. Now, it might be some kind of successful result, in which case you tend to feel good. Hey, that worked. I'm getting somewhere, and you'll take more action. You might hit some bumps in the road, but for a long time, if you get early success, you'll often be spurred on by that, and you'll keep going. Great. So far, so good. But what if it doesn't work? Now, you'll notice I haven't written the word failure here, because to me, the opposite of success is not failure. We don't fail, we get a result. But most of us tend not to see it that way. I tried that and it didn't work. So if that's the case, then what tends to happen is that that hurts, that's pain. And when we feel pain, we tend to retreat. We run back and scuttle back into our little hidey holes, whatever they are, and say, "Oh, it didn't work. I tried that before, and I got my fingers burned, or I got badly hurt in some way by that." Whatever action we took that didn't work. Instead of seeing that what we should have done is have gone back to the drawing board, maybe, and made another plan, because the desire doesn't go away. We just stop taking action. Right? And as well as pain, we get this feeling of disappointment, which is powerful, and fear of being hurt again. So this becomes a powerful negative loop tape that we play over and over again in our heads. And what we tend to do is say, well, I'd like to have another go at such and such, whatever it is. And then we play that loop tape. It reminds us of the last time we tried and it didn't work. And so we play it out in our minds to the point where disaster happens in our head. So we replay that movie in our minds, and then we just don't start. So then we get stuck. And that's how getting stuck happens. Now, as I said, the desire remains, but the fear becomes a hypothesis about why it didn't work. And all too often, we tend to say, well, it's me. I'm not good enough. I don't have enough, whatever it might be that you think you don't have enough of. Chutzpah, personality, knowledge, wisdom, time, qualifications, whatever. Right? These are nothing more than beliefs. And for every, and those beliefs are excuses. You can see I've put the word excuse up here. For every excuse that you have, I can show you someone, and you can probably show me someone who would have had exactly the same or very similar circumstances who overcame them. One of my favorite role models for overcoming almost what appear to have been impossible odds is Oprah Winfrey. Oprah Winfrey, in case you don't know her story, was clearly, a black little girl born in a place and at a time when being black was bad enough, being female and black was terrible, being female and black and poor was condemnation. You stood no chance of getting anywhere in life. And this was a child so poor that her mother sometimes had to dress her in grocery sacks, right? And there was a period in Oprah's adolescence when she became a delinquent, and so on. So, and we know who Oprah has become, and this is a woman who's influenced presidents, as well as millions and millions of people all around the world for good. That woman is a force for good, and she's an absolute tribute to overcoming what appear to be impossible odds simply by choosing a different set of beliefs and different set of thoughts. But where we get stuck is we tend to tell ourselves, well, I can't do it. I'm no one special. Everybody's special. There are 7 billion of us right now on this planet. Apparently, I haven't counted, but I believe, I'm willing to believe that statistic. 7 billion of us. Apparently, there've already been about 7 billion who've come and gone already. Who knows how many more there will be to come after us? So let's say out of that's 14 billion, and let's say there's another 7 billion to come, that'd be 21 billion. Out of all of those people, there's never been a clone of you. There's never been an identical one to you, not in looks, not in personality, in knowledge, in ideas, in your way of, even the way you stir your coffee. No two people are exactly the same. So how can you not be special? Everybody's special. You're amazing. You're unique, right? And when you get that uniqueness is actually something of great value, then you'll begin to shift. But what we do instead is we tend to believe in our mediocrity, and then say, well, who am I to rise above the crowd? I can't do anything. And that's those thoughts born of some mishap when we try to take action at some point in the past, or sometimes we don't even take the action. Sometimes we just watch somebody else fall. Maybe a parent. Maybe, oh, my father tried that and didn't work out for him, and I'm never going to make that mistake. I'm just gonna go. Keep to the straight and narrow, which is usually a rut, by the way. It was Earl Nightingale who said that wonderful thing. He said, most people tiptoe through life hoping to make it safely to the grave. So let that sink in. So what does getting unstuck involve then? Well, you have to believe in you. You have to believe in yourself as the greatest resource for whatever you want to achieve. It's your uniqueness, your creativity, your abilities. However much you think they are, well, anyone can do that. Yes, maybe they can, but anyone isn't. And those who do are getting somewhere. So it was Tony Robbins, when I went on one of his events some years ago, who pointed out to us that when you watch something like the Olympic Games, the people who win the gold medals become national and sometimes international heroes. Some of them will be remembered into history forever. The person who gets the silver or the bronze may be only a few hundredths of a second, or even a few thousandths of a second these days, slower or shorter, or in the throw or whatever. Tiny, tiny amounts. They are the second and third most, fastest, strongest, whatever it is, in the world. But nobody will remember their names tomorrow. Now, the point of that story, the point of that analogy, is that you only need to be a tiny fraction better than most people to be excellent, to excel. You only need to be you only need to do a little bit more than what most people will do. I'm here today putting on this presentation. I could say, well, anybody could do this. Yeah, lots of people could do this. But they're not, are they? I'm the one doing it. And I know that that marks me out as someone who isn't at Oprah Winfrey or Tony Robbins kind of level of excellence in terms of achievement, but marks me out as someone who is just a little bit, who's willing to go just a little bit further than most people. Now, believe me, sometimes, I'm used to doing these now, so it feels quite comfortable, but sometimes I've had to stretch myself beyond my comfort zone to achieve the results that I want in my life. And incidentally, the result that I wanted in my life about 2.5 years ago was I had enough of my day job. I'd done it for far too long. I was no longer fulfilled by it, but it was paying the bills. But I knew I'd had enough. So I quit. And it meant that I had to be resourceful and creative enough to find a way to make my living doing the stuff that I love to do, which is this kind of stuff, teaching and helping people get where they want to go. Right? But although I'd made bits and pieces of money, pocket change at it before, I'd never made a full-time living prior to that day. And I woke up on January the 1st, 2014, with no visible means of income and no real plan. I knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't know how to execute it exactly. But here I am. And it was very uncomfortable, but I had to stretch myself to make it happen. Now, I now have plans, and I now know how to do it. And I now teach other people how to do that. The next thing is, in getting unstuck, you need to realize that you are further down some path than somebody else. The number of clients that I've had who will say to me in our initial consultation, but I don't know anything. I'm nobody special. This kind of, there we go again, being mediocre. Unless you were actually born yesterday, and I've never had a client that young, you do know something. You do know something that somebody coming up behind you doesn't know. Now, I don't know whether it's how to swing a golf club, or how to do a yoga pose, or how to write a good resume for an interview, for a job application, whatever it is. You know something that other people don't yet know and want to know. You do. You're always further down the path than somebody else. So you can show people stuff. We live in an age of information, and technology has made the transmission of information unbelievably easy. Information is currency, and you have a bunch of stuff in your head and in your experience that you can turn into valuable information. And information becomes valuable when you do the next thing here, which is solve a problem for someone. Now, the bigger the problem, and by big I mean how painful it is to them, the more valuable it is. Now, obviously, if you can come up with an instant cure for cancer, then you're probably going to be very famous and possibly very rich. But at the same time, for a very long time, a lot of people are going to be extremely cynical. So that's not something I recommend that you advertise, unless you are a well-trained scientist and maybe a medical doctor or something as well, and know exactly that you have done it. But that's science. I don't mean that kind of problem. There are all kinds of problems that people have that they want help with. It can be to do with relationships, getting married, getting divorced, having a baby, not having a baby, bringing up kids, um, what to do, how to get into college, what to do when you leave college, uh, getting married. Oh, we've done that one. Losing weight, gaining weight. I mean, there are just a bazillion things that people are faced with every day. Those are not going away. Those are never changing. Those are human situations, transition moments. There are dozens and dozens and dozens of them throughout life. What we now have is a way of delivering that help to people on a mass scale very, very fast and very, very cheaply. And that makes an enormous number of opportunities available that were never available before to any previous generation. We are living in an incredible time. So that's what you have. That's the asset that you have. All you need to do is figure out how to deliver that result, and the internet makes that incredibly easy. Some people get frightened at that point, go, oh, I can't do the internet. It's too technical. Well, some of the internet is technical, but much of it is no more difficult than learning to use a can opener, right? So you just, nobody's asking you to, to bake the beans. Just open the can and somebody else has already baked the beans for you. So, people get hung up on kind of, oh, but I don't know how to do that. And you know what else as well? It's now incredibly easy, if you really do get stuck on the internet with something technical, to find somebody who will help you, often for nothing or for $5. That's sort of silly money. And in the vast majority of cases, very often, unless it's super technical, somebody's probably posted up a video on YouTube you can watch for free about how to solve the problem. So there's really, that excuse really doesn't exist. And then you've just got to advertise it, basically. Let people know that you've got the result that solves their problems. And when you do that in certain specific ways, people will queue at your door and pay you good money to have their problem solved. So it's not the only way to get unstuck, but getting stuck does come from when the desire for change initially gets blocked in some way, and it's a self-block, that turns into a hypothesis of a belief that I can't do it, it's me, I'm the problem, I'm just mediocre, or I've got some belief that I'm not up to the job, and then we don't take action. Getting unstuck, this is a very, very simple formula. So that's my foundation, as it were. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come back to the screen, the camera. Hopefully you can see that. It looks rather blurred from here. And let's talk. So please post your comments or questions about getting unstuck into the chat box. I'm here for you. What would you like to say? Has anything I've just said struck a chord? Does it make sense? Does it make nonsense? Just post your questions in the chat box. If you have any. If you don't, then well, I'll just hold on for a moment and see, because I know the chat box sometimes has a delay on it. It does say it's enabled, so it should be working fine. Can you hear me? I'm assuming you can hear and see me, otherwise you wouldn't still be there. Any questions? Any thoughts? Is that helpful? Did it rattle any cages? If you're all quiet, I can't help you, and I'm here to help you. I have put aside this time. Okay, so here's my question for you. Please put your answer in the chat box. What are you stuck with? Ah, here we go. Okay. Thank you, Harris. This makes lots of sense. Okay, Jin. I just can't get started and procrastinate every day. Any tips? Okay, well, yes, I have some tips about procrastination. But let's dig a little deeper into that. When you procrastinate, if you flip that over, because I just can't get started, actually, I'm going to challenge you on that, right? Because you can. Yeah, Harris, also procrastination is always a problem. Okay, so you can get started. You could get started, and instead of getting started, you get started on something else. Am I right? You get started on some less important task. Or I'll just fiddle with this piece of string, which has been bothering me for months now. It's been lying on my desk, and I'll just twiddle it around my fingers. I'm exaggerating, I expect. But you know what I'm saying, right? So what's actually going on? Put your answer in the chat box. What's beneath the I can't get started? What's the emotion in there? What's the emotion, Jen? What's the feeling about getting started? If you did get started, if somebody held a gun to your head and said, get started, apart from the actual fear of, the gun itself, what might, yes, fear, right? Because, right, now we're getting somewhere. Because the fear is, yeah, probably, not probably, Harris, definitely, I absolutely guarantee it's fear. Because what's happening is, the fear can go either way, right? Most people recognize fear of failure. Oh, but what if it all goes wrong? Okay. Now, the reality is, in life, most of the time, yep, fear of failing. But most of the time, things don't go wrong. Most of the time, things work out okay. You plan a trip to the shopping mall, you're probably going to get there and you'll get home in one piece with all your groceries or whatever it is you went out for. Plan works out. You plan, I don't know, your day, a picnic with the family, you just plan to go to bed. We make millions of little plans throughout our lives, and they work. And some of the big ones work too. I plan to get married or have kids or get this job or leave a job or whatever. And from, many, many, many people, things work out okay. The reality is most things are all right most of the time. If you ask an insurance actuary, what are the chances of my house burning down? So, oh, you should definitely have fire insurance because so many houses a year burn down. And they'll give you a statistic. That's their job. What they don't tell you is that most houses never burn down. That wouldn't be in their interest to tell you that, but you can see it for yourself. Most of us don't look at that. We watch the news, and it tells us about all these terrible things going on in the world, wars and famine and disasters and bacteria that are going to, get us all or whatever, some sort of bug. And the reality is, those things are on the news because they're exceptional. Everything else would be really boring because most things are all right. But nevertheless, we have this conditioning, this programming in our culture that says we probably should look at the worst case scenario. And I'm not saying you should never do a risk analysis. That makes sense. But do the risk analysis and then just kind of go, well, but the chances are that, because I'm quite a resourceful, intelligent human being, this will work out. So that's one fear. The other fear, Jin, and the one that you may not be seeing, and one that a lot of people overlook, is the fear of succeeding. Now, I don't know you. I don't know your situation. And people say, well, why would I fear succeeding? It's what I want. But there's a cost. Because, for example, in Australia, they call this the tall poppy syndrome. You know, if you're the poppy that rises higher than the rest, you're the one that's going to get your head chopped off first. That's what they say in Australia, right? So the famous people, we like to build them up and then chop them down. We're good at doing that in Britain as well, by the way. So, tall poppy syndrome. But it's not only that, it's also the fear that your peer group, you see, one of the human needs, one of the basic human needs, is to be liked and loved, to be liked and accepted. So if you, I don't know, meet with your friends at the bar, 2 or 3 times a week, and you all get your drinks and you sit around going, oh, isn't life terrible? I wish I could have more money. I wish I could get a better job. I wish the world was a different place, blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying you do that, but for the purpose of illustration, if you're in that peer group and then suddenly one of you leaves and turns up next week in a brand new Ferrari and has a mansion up on the hill, and the fear is that the rest of you would all go, well, you can't come in here. You don't belong with us anymore. And if you are that person, that you'll be rejected by the people that, like why many of us tend to live stuck beneath a glass ceiling, because we think, yeah, I think I have both, absolutely. But we think that we won't still be liked and accepted if we move out of our so-called comfort zone. I'm saying so-called comfort zone because you may have noticed that after a while, a comfort zone becomes a very uncomfortable place to be. It starts to feel like a straitjacket. So, hi, Helen's just joined. Helena? Not sure how you say that. Hi, anyway, welcome. You've missed a little bit of the preamble, but we're talking about how to get unstuck, and we're talking about fear. Well, we're talking about procrastination, actually, and the emotion behind procrastination. Why don't we get started getting ourselves out of it? Okay, so Jim, let me just say, the answer to procrastination, in a nutshell, there's a much deeper answer, which I can't go into in depth here today. But in a nutshell, the deeper answer is to realize, let me give you this analogy, that you can't help the poor by being one of them. What I mean by that is, if, let's say that you have a deep and burning desire to help people in third world countries, for example. Now, if you went to one of those third world countries and saw how those people were living in terrible conditions, in slums and with disease and babies dying every day, that kind of thing, right? And you decide, right, I really want to help these people. Right, well, I better know what it feels like to be one of them then. So I'll get rid of all my worldly goods. I'll malnourish myself. Hi, Helene. You're not going to help them. You might have empathy for them, but that's not going to help them. What they need is somebody with more than they have, money, that can help them build resources, schools and clean water and hospitals and those kinds of things, right? You can't help the poor by being one of them. And similarly, you can't help your peer group by just, if you're all sitting there moaning together about how the world should be different, by just being another moaner. So you have to take the risk sooner or later of being the inspiration. And what will happen is some of those friends will follow you. Some may even overtake you and become your leader. And in truth, some probably will fall away. But guess what? You end up with new friends at a higher level, and they take you to the next level and the next and the next. You can either surround yourself with a peer group who want to pull you down or keep you in the pit that they're in, or you can look above you at somebody who's already outside of the pit, who's got a rope ladder, going, here you go. Here, grab hold. Start climbing out. I'm on the outside. You come up. But if you're not one of the people who puts your hand up and says, I want to come out, then it doesn't matter how many rope ladders I throw down there, you're not going to climb. So you have to want to change. No one can make that happen for you except you. And then you take the risk of climbing out. And yeah, it will feel uncomfortable to start with. It will feel scary. So what? So what? And going the other way, because you said you've got both, fear of failure and fear of success. Right. Here's how to fail. Never start. That's failure. You have a desire burning in your heart, and you say to yourself, nah. You want that to be your epitaph? Really? Or you say, you know what? I have to make something happen. I don't know what the result will be. I don't know if I can do it. I don't know from here because I've never done it before. And I don't have any precedent for this particular risk. I have to just take the risk. When I was starting out on this journey many years ago now, in the early 90s, 92, I think it was, a teacher that I had at the time asked me if I'd seen the film Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. I think it's that one. It was fairly new out at the time. And it's the one where Sean Connery plays Indiana Jones's father. And their quest is for the Holy Grail. And towards the end of the film, the Nazis are chasing Indiana and his dad. Both the Nazis and Indiana realize they think they know where the Grail is. And so the Nazis end up capturing Indy's dad and holding a gun to his head and saying to Indiana, right, you go and get the Grail and bring it back to us. And if you don't do it, we'll shoot your dad. Fairly simple deal, right? So that was the situation. So Indiana has to go off, and you know what he's like, and he goes through, you know, rocks try and fall on his head, and he manages to avoid all those things until eventually he emerges halfway up a rock face, and there's an abyss, and facing him is another rock face with a cave entrance in it, and he knows that the Grail is in there. He knows that. But there's no way across. There's just this gulf, this abyss, that's just drop into nothing. But he can see the entrance to the cave. Now he's faced with a real dilemma here, because if he steps forward, he's going to fall to his death. If he goes back without the Grail, they're going to kill his dad. So he realizes, well, we assume that, because there are no words, but that he realizes there must be a way into the cave. It's there, it's somehow got there. So what he does is he's standing, you know, back against the rock face, and he puts his foot out. And there's a bridge. Now, the bridge is an optical illusion. It's a real bridge, but it looks like it's part of the rock face. From where he's standing, he can't actually see it. And so once he realizes there's something there, something solid, he then finds some pebbles and throws them across the bridge, and then he can see the bridge, and then he can see that there's a way across. Now, the person who told me that told me because she wanted to say to me, once you step outside of your comfort zone, it's like the universe comes up to support you. And I have found this to be true over and over again. Now, that might sound a bit woo-woo, but I can assure you it's true. Now, here's the thing. Here's a philosophical thing. We're not separate from everything. We have this illusion that I'm on my own. You're not on your own, not just because people will come out of the woodwork to support you, because they will, but actually things, coincidences, teachers, and all sorts of things happen that just because you take a step outside of your comfort zone and make it happen. It's like other opportunities open up that you couldn't have foreseen and weren't apparently there before. I hope that helps, Jin. Does that inspire you? Helen, you joined us a little while ago. Do you have any questions or comments about, would you like to tell us, thank you, Helen. Would you like to tell us where you're stuck? Because you've obviously joined this session for a reason. What are you stuck with? Why are you not getting where you want to go in whatever area of life it is? Just type it in the chat box. Okay, getting started with my own business. So do you, okay, Jin, I'm just reading, thank you. Thanks, Trevor. Yes, I had those things earlier in life, but lately seem to have dried up. Okay, well, I hope I've shaken something up there a little bit. Okay, have lots of info plans and software, etc. Okay, right. So in the preamble, in the setting the scene here, need to focus. Well, that sounds like a procrastination issue just the same, Jin. Do you, Helen, sorry, same as Jin. Do you have a sense of what you would focus on? Because having lots of plans sounds like it could be a little woolly. Do you know what your business will look like when it's completed, when it's running? What will your life look like when your business is running? Is it going to be a pocket money business, or is it something that's going to keep you in clover? Okay, you have everything in place to start a Shopify business. So why aren't you starting it? Have to put all the pieces together? Sure, like a jigsaw puzzle. Why aren't you doing that? Why are you stuck? Right. Helen, I don't want to pry too much on a public chat because maybe you're being, and I realize also it's difficult because you've got to type all the answers. So maybe there's some stuff that you don't want to tell me, but overcoming some obstacles, do you mean like just the technical things about, how to put a website together, or do you mean stuff that's more personal? As I say, I don't want to pry. I have some workarounds. I found some workarounds. I had to get another job, just got another job. I have to fit my business in. Okay, so workarounds being, I'm not quite sure what you mean by workarounds there, because anyway, okay, you had to get another job. So I'm assuming then that you saw money running low and went, eek, I'm not going to be able to pay the bills, and ran for the job. So now you've got that, and now the job takes priority because they have a You have a contractual obligation to them for some of your time, which you've sold to them, right? Okay, so I'm tempted to tell you to quit the job, but I won't do that. Not at this point. But when you say I have to fit my business in, are you actually saying, but I'm not finding the time to do that because I don't know what else you've got. Maybe you've got family commitments and so on. So, and a job is often tiring. So you get home, you're tired, you're hungry. Maybe you want to spend time with your loved ones, bit of TV, go to bed, do it all again tomorrow. That's life for a lot of people. Nothing wrong with that. Is that the kind of thing that you're saying, or is that the kind of thing that's happening? Or is it possible, I suppose what I'm trying to fish for here, is it possible that what's actually happening is you procrastinate around it and say, well, actually, I work, I don't know how many hours a week your job is, let's say it's 40 hours a week. Well, out of the remainder of the time, some of it, let's say you decide to put aside 2 hours a day for your business, that would be 10 to 15 hours a week. Money running low, need to pay bills, just got the job yesterday. Well, congratulations on getting the job. It's job number 3, 2 working at home, no time for TV. Okay, well, thank you for making the time for me this afternoon, or whatever time of day it is where you are. Okay, so, Helene, you're obviously here for a reason. Am I saying your name? I don't know, you can't tell me. Helene, Helen, I don't know, it's got an E on the end of it. Helene, it's like to it. Are you here because you want to get unstuck? Because you would have to get out of that loop of thinking, money running low, I understand, need to pay the bills. Yep, I understand that, absolutely. Just got the job yesterday. I clearly understand that situation. Right. The Shopify, yes, it was some procrastination. Thank you for that candor. Because Helene, yeah, thank you. Okay. I'm getting elocution lessons as well. It's good. I like this conversation. So yeah, you do have to pay the bills. I mean, you're not gonna, out of job mentality, absolutely. Which what you probably missed me saying at the beginning, Helene, was about valuing yourself first. Now, I know a little bit about Shopify, and I guess you're trying to sell other stuff there, which is fine. But it's you. You are the resource. It's your uniqueness that people will buy. Now, I absolutely promised no sales pitch here today, and I'm not going to do that. So, but I now know. I'm now showing people, starting to show people, and putting together a program to show people how to get like a 4-figure income within 1 to 3 months. I don't think you'll do that with Shopify necessarily, but I'm showing people how to do that. So if that's the kind of thing that would interest any of you, then I'm happy to tell you how to get in touch with me, and we'll go through a complimentary planning session and talk about it. But the job mentality comes from the belief that that's the only way to make money and to pay the bills. Now, for a long time, for generations before us, it hasn't been the only way, but it's been the major way. And when I was a kid, I left school, left college, 17, 18 years of age, and my father said to me, get a secure job. Well, he didn't say that first of all. He wanted me to go into the family business, but either way, he wanted me to have a secure job for the next 40 years. And it filled me with horror and dread then, as it would now. The idea of doing anything for 40 years seemed to be a crazy idea, unless I loved it. But I couldn't see any alternative back then because that was the only role model I had. Now we have this unbelievable amount of opportunity. Anyone with a cheap laptop and a Wi-Fi connection can start a multi-figure business from your kitchen table or your spare bedroom. Anyone can do it. Now, that's not, the technology is the tool. It's not the means. You are the means. You are the resource that makes that happen. You. And that's belief. That starts with belief. I can show you the nuts and bolts of it, but teaching you the belief, that's the big part. That's the part that will serve you for the rest of your life. It will serve your kids. It will serve anyone that comes into contact with you from then on. Because the opening of people's minds to possibility is a fantastic thing to do for a living, believe me. And then showing you how to actually do it. And, you know, I'm here, I'm 2.5 years into being completely job-free and surviving and doing what I love, talking to you guys, you know, inspiring people. That, I mean, it's just, there is nothing like it. Oh, and by the way, no alarm clocks. Internet never sleeps. It's great. So it is most certainly possible for anyone to do it, any age. Look at me, I'm an old fuddy-duddy. I shouldn't be doing this. You know, there are 18-year-old kids, 15-year-old kids doing it. Yes, thank you. But it's congratulations, Helene says. But it's not just, I mean, I do appreciate that very much. But congratulations is often a sentiment that's expressed in terms of luck. And I created this. I knew that I could do it, but more importantly, I know that anyone can do it. You don't have to be, you don't have to be, I don't know what it would be, because whatever it is, whatever I say there, you are it. I was going to say super talented, but you are super talented at being you. You're not old, Helene. I didn't say I was old. I just said I was an old fuddy-duddy. Yes, anyone of any age. And I've had clients of all ages, by the way, as well. A lot of people, a lot of retired people want to you know, new lease of life, and the internet's right there. It's immediate, it's instant. Much of it is free, and it would be like when we were, you know, well, I say we, I don't know how old all of you are, but when I was a kid, it would be like somebody handing me my own TV station or publishing house. I mean, it's the equivalent of that power now, and the playing field is leveled. We can compete with the big guys and gals. Okay, look, I hope this conversation's being helpful. It certainly seems to be lively. What I'm going to do is, well, maybe I'll ask you directly. Would you like me to set up a complimentary planning session with you, one-to-one on Skype? Can't do it right now. I have to. We have about half an hour left. May not use all of that, but that's what I've got left now, and I have to be somewhere else. But in the next couple of days, would that be of interest to anyone? I'm going to type a what's the word, URL in the chat box, where you can, if you want to do that, you can go and book an appointment with me, free. Does that sound like it's something that might interest any of you? And then we can go into depth in this and look at your, I know one of you here is already working with me, but does that sound like something you might like to do? Because I'm very happy to do that. Now, why isn't that going? There we are. It's trevoremden.com/appointments, if you couldn't read that. So just go there and you'll see a little calendar. Any box that's green, any date that's green has free appointments in it. Just click on one of the dates that suits you. Jin, might be possible to have to think about it. Now that sounds like a real procrastination thing, Helene. What would you have to think about it for? Anyway, wow, okay. I know you're busy, but I'm sure we could work that out. Jin, just go click that link, trevoremden.com/appointments. I think I can probably, I might have that on a, there you go. Now I can't see that, but it says offer published to all attendees. So there's a button there as well, lead you to the same place. So there's just a calendar on the page. Click the calendar, find a date with a green, that's green, choose a time. The times are in UK time, but I put a little time zone converter up there. So you just type in the name of your city or whatever, if you're in New York or Chicago or something, and it'll just tell you what the time difference is between my calendar and wherever you are. And we should be able to work something out. If you can't, if by some chance you can't find a time slot that works for both of us, then just email me. I'll put that in the chat box as well, because I will. Oh, it goes to a non-functioning page. I think let me try it again. Thanks, Helene. It's http trevoremdon trevoremdon.com/appointments. I think when I try that in the chat box now, I think it's come up better. Tell me if that works. In fact, I can click it myself, I think. I don't want to lose you guys there. Yeah, that seems to work for me. Ah, I typed in a space, did I? Okay, thanks. Okay, so anything else you want to ask, ladies and gents, before we say goodbye to each other? So I have a little more time if there's anything you want to know. I mean, the thing is, oh, Helen, we'll talk about that. Very good, very good. Let's go through the planning session, because at this stage, Helen's asking me about my coaching rates, which is really nice. I promised no sales pitch here today, and I'm really not. Honestly, that wouldn't be fair. When we go through the planning, the planning session together, you know, we'll look at something that works for both of us. I have some ideas, but let's talk. So let's talk. And I appreciate that you're asking, and I appreciate that that's something that we might do. I look forward to speaking with you. But I'm certainly not here to do a hard sell, and I did absolutely promise I wouldn't do a sales pitch here today. So if I start talking about rates and money, then I'm breaking that promise, and I don't want to do that. This is not about pitching my coaching. So the thing is, being stuck hurts. Yeah, Helen, I completely understand. Need to look at my calendar to make an appointment. By all means, do that. Look, let me put my email in the box as well, because if you want to just catch up with me that way, you know, if the appointment calendar doesn't work out, there you go. So just email me. But obviously the calendars, the appointment thing's better, because if other people click on the green things as well, then bit by bit they go. So if you can make an appointment, that's fine. If that makes sense. What I was saying was, being stuck, for a while, it can feel comfortable. The comfort zone thing. Oh yeah, but I know what I'm doing. This is what I'm familiar with. It's like an old pair of slippers, carpet slippers or something. But then eventually, it's like, but is this all there is? That feeling. And that's a very uncomfortable place to be. And it costs you in more ways than one. Oh, cool. Hello, cool, got the calendar. It costs you in more ways than one. It costs you emotionally, and who knows what the knock-on effects of that are, you know, with people that you love, and with how much enjoyment you get out of any of life. It can cost you health. It can cost you financially as well, because you're not making what you're truly worth and what you deserve. And by the way, deserving isn't about, oh, I did something bad when I was 6 years old, so maybe I'm being punished. It's not. That's not what deserving means. I'm going to say this again, but it's a slightly different context. So I hope this helps to kind of get the message home. You are unique. There is nobody like you. There never has been anybody like you. There never will be anybody like you. And you have passions and drives and ambitions and goals and dreams in a unique constellation of you-ness that nobody else will ever have. And as you begin to turn them into your reality, they will manifest. You know, let's suppose you want to be a singer. And let's suppose you want to sing my way. Well, Frank Sinatra already did that. But only he could sing it his way. You know, somebody just released, I can't remember the name of the band, it was on the radio here this morning. The Sound of Silence, which is the Simon and Garfunkel song. I remember learning, one of the first songs I learned to play on my guitar when I was about 14. Right? Now, they haven't changed the tune very much, but the arrangement's phenomenal. This big, heavy rock voice that builds and builds. Now, I don't know whether it's going to be a hit or not. It's already had quite a few plays over here in the UK on the radio. American band, I think. I don't know who they are. But, you know, recording a song that's 45 years old, because you can tell from the recording there's passion and drive in the music. Nobody else will do it like them. Simon and Garfunkel certainly couldn't have made it sound like them, and Paul Simon wrote it. So whatever we do, even if it's doing cover versions of somebody else's song, you're still going to do it your way. Nobody's going to say about that single that's just come out, Sound of Silence, well, I'm not going to buy that, I've got the original. Because it's different. It's their version. Do you get that? That's quite a good analogy, actually. People doing cover versions of songs. And I never understand when an artist does a cover version of a song and tries to make it sound exactly like the original, because that does seem pointless to me. Where's the you-ness in there? But when you just let yourself be you and express you into the world, you feel joyful. And by the way, that's contagious. People want to be around you. And if you're selling stuff, people want to buy from you because they want a bit of who you are. They want a bit of your t-shirt, you know, they want to be, I want to be around that man or that woman or those people because it feels good, because they can tell that you feel good. Right? So that's what it is. It's the passion and the drive. And that's why I say, and for Helen, you know, you've expressed it here today, and I thank you for that. You know, get out of the job mentality. Unless you're going to work going, woohoo, another day at work, which for 18 years of my career in mental health, I did. I genuinely did. I remember having days off and thinking, oh no, it's a day off, I want to be at work. There's so much good stuff going on. I genuinely remember thinking that. And then after 18 years, things changed. Obviously, I was 18 years older, but things changed in my personal life, in the politics of this country, and what was going on at work as well. And I realized I'd had enough, and I stayed. I stayed because I thought it was paying the bills, and I better stay now. I've been doing it nearly 20 years, and I stayed too long. And I knew from that day I should have got out, and eventually I did. But the years that I stayed, I don't regret, but I can't get them back. I had a lot of good times, made a lot of good friends, and a lot of good experiences. But I could have been doing more of this. Get out while you can. And if you're breathing, you can. You know, it's not too late. It's not about the number of birthdays you've had, it's about the amount of passion you have. Okay, anything else, folks? Anything else that you want to say to me, ask me? Apart from how much do I charge? Because that's not today's agenda. About getting unstuck. Jin, how are you doing? Do you think you're freer to move forward, Jin, than you were at the beginning? I hope. Oh yeah, thanks, Helen. I appreciate that. Okay, I don't know if Jin's going to type anything else into the box. All right, so I hope I've done some inspiring here today, and I think I think I have. That's a good procrastinator's answer. Time will tell is another good procrastinator's comment. Jin, that's great. Okay, look, Jin, as well. You know, you're very welcome if you'd like a complimentary one-on-one session. We can go into much greater depth, and we'll actually look with you at how you're getting yourself stuck. And what we can actually do, like, you know, a complimentary planning session I'm talking about, to plan your way out of it, so I can show you step by step what you can do. If you just go to that, you may have done it already, I don't know, trevoremington.com/appointments, and find one of the green appointment slots there, and I'd be very happy to set that up with you. Okay, folks, I'm really thankful for your time. As I say, I hope I've been helpful here today and made some difference. That's what matters to me at the end of the day. I mean, you know, we all have to eat, have to live too, but the making of the money from doing something that I love has made all the difference to me and my life and my quality of life, and even the amount of sleep that I get with no alarm clock. Can't tell you how nice that is. Okay, so if there's nothing else, then I'm going to wrap this up, and thank you so much for Helen. You're most welcome. Thanks so much for your time, and Helen, good luck with the job. Jin, good luck with getting out of those loop tapes in your head. I can definitely quite easily free you from those, and hope to talk to you and others in person very soon. Okay. All right, Jin, you're very welcome. It's my pleasure. I love it. No alarm clock. Yeah, absolutely. Can't tell you how nice that is after all those years of shifts as well. Lovely. Okay, I will wish you all the very best, and as I say, hope to speak to you again soon. Bye for now.